A few months ago, we were treated to political theatrics so serious that has led to the near impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, because I understand that William Ruto or Kenya Kwanza has received the requisite number of signatures to table that impeachment motion in Parliament. Something that has never been witnessed before when Gen Zs went to the streets and they cornered Ruto. When they invaded Parliament, William Ruto called for a press conference and he succumbed and did the most unthinkable. He said he was not going to sign the Finance Bill 2024. That was the major reason why the Gen Zs and many Kenyans were on the streets protesting. And the song was one, Ruto must go. To the utter shock of many Kenyans, his deputy president, whom many had thought would stand by his side, because the deputy president is basically the principal assistant to the president. And people thought that he would be there to give the president the moral support that was needed. We thought that they would be together on this and he would condemn the protest. But instead, while the president was briefing the country and giving the way forward, his deputy president was in Mombasa giving another press conference. And in that briefing, a looking angry deputy president blamed the president for the protest, but he did it very indirectly because he directed his attack on the Director General of the National Intelligence, boss Noordin Haji. And if you look at it clearly, ladies and gentlemen, that was the culmination of the differences between President William Samoei Ruto and his deputy. And if ever you are asking, where did the rain start beating us? Why are there plans to impeach Rigathi Gachagua? It was that day that the deputy president, in full glare of camera, contradicted his boss.
Since independence, there has been protests around Parliament. Never have protesters invaded and gotten inside Parliament. Senior officers have told me in confidence they did not have an advance intelligence brief about the intensity of the protest so that they prepare in advance. The National Intelligence Service slept on the job. And the problem is simple. The Director General of the National Intelligence Service, Noordin Haji, was a junior officer in the National Intelligence Service before he was appointed as DPP. When he was appointed to the office of the Director General, because of inferiority complex, he chased away all the people who were senior to him when he was in the service, therefore crippling the capacity of that service and making it dysfunctional. 3 directors were chased away and reassigned to desk jobs in ministries across government. 13 assistant directors, men and women with proven track record of intelligence collection and analysis, were removed from the National Intelligence Service, leaving a shell under a clueless Director General who has no capacity to run the organization. And that is why the security sector was caught off guard by the intensity, the anger of the Kenyan people, the agitation of the Kenyan people, the resilience of the Kenyan people. Had Noordin Haji done his job, we will not be where we are today. He has no capacity. He is out of the country most of the time on business trips. The country is on its own. My boss, President William Ruto, is exposed. That he has to back down and admit that he has hurt the people of Kenya. Yet this matter has been in public domain for the last 2 months.
In other words, the deputy president was accusing the president of appointing an incompetent officer. in the office of the Director General of the NIS. But it was the rebuttal of the very man who was being accused of messing up the NIS system that clearly indicated that Rigathi Gachagua was going to be dealt with. And he had prophesied that sooner than later, Rigathi Gachagua would be apprehended, charged, and he would be behind bars. After Rigathi Gachagua accused the NS boss, this is what the NI boss said. Because in this video, I want to humbly submit to you that there are plans not only to impeach Rigathi Gachagua, but also to lock him behind the bars. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, give our videos likes so that they can be recommended, and I want to thank you so much for your continued support. Ladies and gentlemen, for immediate release, this evening, I have been totally taken aback by comments emanating from the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, to the effect that the National Intelligence Service, of which I am deeply honored to be the Director General, either gave false intel to the President over the ongoing national protest or didn't detect them in advance. I have utmost respect for the office of the Deputy President, so I do not wish to be drawn into the altercation with the current holder. But since he has brought my attention and that of the service into disrepute, I am constrained to state as hereunder. And I want you to listen to the response, because this is the prophecy and the determination and the assertion that Noordin Haji gave, that Rigathi Gachagua would be arrested. He says that the NIS Director General reports directly to the President as a Commander-in-Chief. The role of the President as CIC has no deputy. So the deputy won't know what the service presents to the President in its report. Number two, the Deputy President actions and words suggest that he has personal interest in the intelligence briefs revolving around the protest. And then look at the question. Could it be that he is worried that the NIS may have pinned his responsibility at his doorstep? We'll revisit that. Number three, I was Deputy Director at NIS when I was appointed DPP, not a junior officer, as alleged by the Deputy. My appointment as the Director General was deserved and I was qualified. Number four, the DP is still bitter that many of his tribesmen who were serving in the NIS but sabotaging, look at that, sabotaging His Excellency President William Ruto, were removed from the service. It can only mean that the DP's desire is to sabotage the president in the hope that if the president falls, he can benefit from it. Ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to listen to the very last one. Noordin Haji said this: the deputy president should be aware that this service has files and extensive information about him and are damaging to him, but we have kept it under wraps. The cases are wrapped. They are not dropped. They are not withdrawn. We invite him to shed off the DP tag so that this service can show him what a personal fight looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, the last statement is very self-explanatory. He was telling the deputy president, we invite him to shed off the DP tag so that this service can show him what a personal fight looks like. And in this regard, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that as we speak, there are members of parliament who are allied to the deputy president, people like Major Dong, and Honorable Gakuya, who were questioned. They were summoned and they were questioned of alleged involvement masterminding the Gen Z protest in a bid to sabotage and to ousted the president, as the Director General of the NIS is saying that in the event that the president was ousted, the DP Gachagua would take over. And I want to humbly submit to you that it was clear from the onset that Rigathi Gachagua was going to be impeached because he has been protected and has been shielded. That office shields him from apprehension, shields him from being prosecuted. And that is why William Ruto wants Rigathi Gachagua out of that office so that he can face the law, so that he can be intimidated and frustrated, because as it is now, he's been protected. And in this regard, it is the Director General of the NIS who dared the Mr. Gachagua to shed off that deputy president tag so that they can meet head on. Why do you think that William Ruto would want to impeach Rigathi Gachagua and to apprehend him? Because from where I sit, Rigathi Gachagua is going to be apprehended and is going to be locked behind bars if at all the impeachment motion sails through. Because even as we speak, charges have been recommended to the members of parliament that are allied to him. And the members have been charged. The recommendations of the charges are that probable charges include soliciting or inciting others to commit offense contrary to section 391 of the penal code. These are the members allied to deputy president. And they say that is Honorable Benjamin Gadhiru Mwangi. Number two, that there is conspiracy to commit a felony contrary to section 393 of the penal code. And who are charged here? Benjamin Gadhiru Mwangi, Honorable James Mwangi Gakuya, Honorable George Deuri, Honorable Martin Derek Ngunjiri Wambugu, and Mr. Pius G. Munene. Of course, they're also saying that money laundering contrary to section 3, 4, and 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Monetary Laundering Act. So, ladies and gentlemen, when MPs are confirming that they have received the requisite number of signatures to take the impeachment motion to Parliament, Gachagua's allies, those who have got the money, those who have been supporting him, those who have been running around the country, are also facing charges of plotting a coup against the president. And when you look at it very critically, you will realize that these are people who, in the political terms, they say these are dogs. Their honor would be Rigathi Gachagua. And it goes without saying that the person who is being targeted here is none other than Rigathi Gachagua. With all this, ladies and gentlemen, why would the deputy president face arrest and prosecution and maybe locked behind the bars? Number one, William Ruto is very bitter because he so believes that Rigathi Gachagua wanted to impeach him. Many have been convinced that the reason why Rigathi Gachagua had a different press conference, instead, because we have got one government. When we face impeachment, when they face impeachment motions, one would believe or would think that Rigathi Gachagua would be so sad that his boss was being frustrated by Gen Zs, and therefore he would stand by his side to give that moral support to condemn the Gen Zs protest. But instead, he was blaming the president, blaming the NS boss. And so it is like he was a man who was happy. And William Ruto is a very angry man. He wants to do this to revenge against Rigathi Gachagua. You understand, some people tell me history that the late president, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, was a very kind man when he began his presidency. But when there was an attempt to overthrow him, a coup d'etat attempt in 1982, that changed everything. And I was listening to one clip where Moi was saying, we were good friends until the events of 1982. When someone wants to overthrow your government, that person becomes your enemy because they can even kill you. So in his heart, Ruto believes that it was his deputy that wanted to overthrow him, and therefore he's bitter, is harboring revenge. And that is why he wants to impeach him and subsequently prosecute, because he will be prosecuted by, you remember, if they don't go directly to, if they can't link him directly to the Gen Z's protest, the DCI, the NIS boss is saying that they have wrapped charges against Rigathi Gachagua. They will open, and Rigathi Gachagua would understand that it is very difficult to fight when you shed off the tag of the deputy president. So it is revenge. He is very bitter, William Samoei Ruto. Number two, if Rigathi Gachagua is impeached and is left to run around, Rigathi Gachagua has money, he's taking Murima, he'll be campaigning. For William Ruto, or for him to be denied that chance of campaigning and running around the country, they might decide to lock him behind the bars. People will run around, condemn it, there will be demonstrations, but when they decide to prosecute him or just decide to place him under house arrest, that will happen. It might happen. And so William Ruto might want to arrest Rigathi Gachagua because of that bitterness, and also to now deny him an opportunity to run around the country, traverse central and places where he believes there are Kikuyus, to gain that support. Number three, he might also want to lock him behind the bars to show him who is superior. Rigathi Gachagua keeps on saying that they were elected under one ticket. He was elected by the people, and therefore there is no one who can intimidate him. There is a kind of supremacy battle between them, and this is what William Ruto wants to put clear, to demystify this notion or narrative that people are peddling, that they were elected under one ticket, and therefore some even saying that if Rigathi Gachagua is going home, Ruto must also go home. And you might want to show him who is the boss. Number three, William Ruto might want to throw Rigathi Gachagua behind the bars because he wants to send a warning to anyone who could be planning such kind of exercise that took place, of planning a coup, of planning demonstrations, of trying to mastermind his ouster. And when you want to do this, you do something that when everyone and anyone who wants or still harbors any kind of bitterness, who wants to overthrow you, or like they were saying, that person would be afraid. So he would decide to instruct the machinery, they will prosecute him, and they will lock him behind the bars, so that they send a warning, they send a message to all his supporters that if you try this mischief, if you try to support Rigathi Gachagua, then we will come for you. Because this is also another intimidation. But I want to end this analysis by saying this. It is not in the best interest of Kenyans to hoodwink us by these choreographed impeachment plans. We have the real elephant in the room. We should be looking and scrutinizing about Adani deal. Adani in the health sector, Adani in the transport sector, Adani in the energy sector, Adani everywhere. We have government employees, going for strike every day. We have got the university new funding model that has become a fiasco. We've got kidnappings that have not been unraveled. There are several things that are happening in the country that we should be looking at. Corruption and wastage. Yet we are being psychologically forced to start discussing the impeachment motion between, this fight between Rigathi Gachagua and William Samoei Ruto. These people are the same. They formed this government, and there's nothing good they're doing to us. If you ask me, if they have to go home, all of them have to go home. But, hiding behind Rigathi Gachagua that he should go home, yet we are leaving the whole Kenya Kwanza brigade, is not good for us.